Good afternoon. We have an exciting episode of Talk of the County for you. I'm Kenneth Wilson, your county administrator. I'm here with two leaders in Central Ohio. One is all things tourism, all things Columbus, all things about bringing big events and big people to Columbus, promoting C-Bus every day. And that's Brian Ross, the president of Experience Columbus. And my favorite person I'm going to introduce next, because if you know anything about me from these episodes, I talk about sports, I use sports analogy, I love sports. I wish I would have had just some kind of athletic ability to be a professional athlete, but all I can do is watch on the couch. And our Greater Columbus Sports Commission Executive Director, Linda Logan, we're fortunate to have here. She is a superstar in this space. She has delivered not one, but two women's Final Fours. And if you know anything about following sports at this time, women's basketball is hot. I mean, it's sizzling hot, women's basketball. And Linda Logan was on the front page of amplifying women's athletics, particularly women's basketball. So she is not only local, she is nationally recognized in the sports field, the field of sports tourism. Sports is money. Sports is big time economic development. So I'm going to start off our conversation. We know that Columbus is a big sports city with many teams in the central downtown area alone. Just down the way, we have Lure.com. In the middle, we have prized Huntington Park, which is near and dear to the hearts of the administration of Franklin County. And then on the other anchor, we have Nationwide Arena. Can you talk a little bit about what are some of the biggest challenges the Sports Commission faces in promoting sports within a city that, because we don't have the NFL and we don't have the NBA, we kind of get so labeled as being a big-time college town when we really are much more dynamic than that.
We are an amazing sports community, so I always take it as something exciting to share what our profile is like. Even though you reference the NFL or the NBA, we have a great mix of sports here. So instead of it being a challenge, I think it's an opportunity. We have some of the finest facilities in the country that you just referenced right here on Nationwide Boulevard, nicknamed Sports Street at times, just because I don't know of any other city in the country that would have three amazing facilities in a fourth of a mile, and then our convention center that kind of heads it to the east, if you will. So there's always something going on, and I view it as an opportunity because we not only have great amateur sports here, but we do have great professional sports, and we do have the great opportunity of having one of the largest athletic departments in the country here with Ohio State, followed by Ohio Dominican, and our Division III colleges with Capital, Otter behind, Ohio Wesleyan not too far away. So we are so fortunate to have something for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I view it as an opportunity.
Yeah, our county commissioners, President Kevin L. Boyce and Commissioner John O'Grady and Commissioner Erica Crowley all have a connection to sports. So they make your job much easier working with them and obtaining their support for events, because one is a state champion, one's a former Division I athlete, the other one plays sports all the way through high school. They all have a connection with sports in one way or another. And as a result of that, they love bringing in all of the high school champions to recognize them and give them wisdom and, encouragement. And I'm always so impressed with not only what some of these young scholar athletes have done on the field or the court, but athletic. I mean, just the athletic ability along with the academics. The GPAs of some of these students we've met over the years, it just blew my mind. What's your favorite aspect of that partnership? It leads to some long sessions and it leads to a lot of names being called, but it's worth it.
We have, for over a dozen years now, been able to take all the state champions that are from Central Ohio and Franklin County and recognize them with our county commissioners. You referenced that they all were athletes themselves and their children have played sports as well. So not only do they recognize how good it is for them, physically, emotionally, but just the leadership skills that we can see with our commissioners. And then hosting these young people each and every year, we get to see the best and the brightest and then follow their career. We've got a few that are probably going to be heading to the Olympics this year, we hope, with some Olympic trials coming up. So just to see not only how talented they are on the court or on the field, but what great human beings they are, or that will, as they mature, they're going to become great leaders. Hopefully they all stay here in Franklin County and become that next generation of board members, great employers. So I think we have a front row seat right now, and it's been very cool to have this partnership and see the growth that has happened over time.
And we win a lot of championships in Franklin County. A lot of championships. I believe the Columbus Quest professional women's basketball team, did they not win every championship during that time the league was in place?
Yeah, the league was in place for just 2 years, but we were the championship. We won the championship both times with the amazing Katie Smith. And I think that's one of the things we're proud of here at the Sports Commission and Experience Columbus, that we have these great opportunities to host these national championships, and we like to say that champions are crowned here, and that continues to raise our profile. The more we get teams here, athletes here, families here that might come to our community for the very first time, then they see what a great community we are, and hopefully some of them think about moving here, getting jobs here, or at least coming back to visit.
The energy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and a lot of the Olympic sports that you bring in too. I mean, fencing's coming up, so
yes,
it's a very diverse sports scene that the Sports Commission's been able to really penetrate and become a place of choice for these types of events.
I mean, I just love it. I mean, being in Lower.com Stadium this past season and to beat the LA Galaxy, owned by all of the, group of celebrities, truly Hollywood people. It's Hollywood meets Midwest, and we walked away with the belt, and it was just a great feeling. Just that place was so loud. And then, who doesn't love a parade? You've always see the parades when teams win championships, and just to just ride down Nationwide Boulevard, just taking it in, and just the whole community just taking in, winning that MLS Cup, and all of that stuff adds to our appeal. People don't realize it. It helps Ohio State, the Ohio State University attract students. It helps us attract young people to our jobs here, because people like the quality of life is better when you have places to go, things to do, and winning teams. People relate to winners. That's something that's unique about Franklin County. We have trouble embracing heartache and defeat. We don't do that very well. Other cities have the ability to embrace losing and be loyal. But I mean, I don't see it as a flaw. But Franklin County, we do not like losing, listeners. And I don't think anyone's gonna send me any emails and suggest to the following, because I don't think we like losing. We don't. Just ask anybody connected with the athletic program at the Ohio State University. We're just not. Losers are not is a DNA characteristic for Franklin County, Ohio.
That's what they say, right? If you're not first, you're last.
That's one of my favorite quotes from Talladega Nights.
You got
It's
it.
one of my favorite quotes. One of my favorite quotes of many.
Of many, I'm sure.
Of many, but that's one of my favorite quotes. And we're gonna have, we got to use this podcast because we want to promote events coming up. We have the Audi MLS All-Star Game. When is that?
That is coming up in July, the third week of July. We're going to have, it's really the summer of soccer. So not only do we have the MLS All-Star Game here, but we're going to have some international teams playing at Ohio State just a month later. So within a 3 or 4 week period, we're going to have some of the best players in the world playing right here in Franklin County. And we couldn't be any prouder of that opportunity to host the world.
Yeah. And on that note, we don't have the World Cup, but we're going to be host a World Cup team for at least a month, correct?
We hope so. We're in the process right now working with the Columbus crew. The World Cup will be in North America in 2026, and we didn't have the facilities. Ohio Stadium didn't have the right dimensions to actually host the competition. But what that could mean for us is that one of those international teams will want to acclimate to coming to North America. Mm-hmm. So could we get a country like Japan to come here and practice? They call them base camps. So they would actually come to your community for about a month just to get used to the climate, get used to the altitude in some cases, and just, to be close to the action. And they won't exactly know where they'll be competing in those early rounds. So possibly we won't even know till just a few months out which teams are coming here. But they are shopping cities. It's almost like a dating game. They pick you, you pick them, and hopefully we have a great opportunity here.
As Mr. Ross will know, Japan in Franklin County in the Central Ohio region, we have a relationship. I would like to say a close relationship when it comes to cultural exchange and economic development. Talk a little bit about what you know about that.
Well, I was very fortunate to go to Japan last year for the Midwest U.S. and Japan conference, and was able to learn a lot about what those relationships, the collaboration, how important, and quite honestly, I was pleasantly surprised of the true impact that Japan manufacturers have on Franklin County. But with that, we're very excited, as you know. We will be hosting that event, the Midwest U.S. And Japan conference this September, actually over Labor Day. And we're looking forward to bringing that part of the world to Columbus and showcasing what Franklin County has to offer. And hopefully we'll have more manufacturing or more businesses choosing to come to Franklin County. So that's exciting.
More individuals coming to see all of the unique things we offer. Now we're going to bounce to the latest professional team to call Columbus home. We have a professional female volleyball team, and I won't give away the name.
Columbus Fury.
The Columbus Fury.
Just finished their first season at Nationwide Arena. The Professional Volleyball League debuted right around the first of the year. Had 12 home games here at Nationwide Arena. The team was a little bit inconsistent on and off the court, but they came in second in attendance, second in revenues, sponsorships, and the future is very bright. And we're just a tremendous volleyball community, really a volleyball state. Columbus hosts annually about over a half dozen Ohio Valley region tournaments at our convention center. The Ohio Valley region of USA Volleyball boasts over 27,000 members, probably the most in the country. So volleyball is built here, it's grown here, and really champions are crowned here. We've hosted over 20 national championships in our community, including one that just finished up last week, the USA Volleyball Open Adult Championships, where we had 10 days worth of volleyball, over 450 teams over here, over the holiday weekend, which is always a big deal to fill hotel rooms. And people love coming here. You could just see the players all up and down High Street
We got
with their
it.
big bags. And so
We
we
got
just
it.
do so well here.
We got it. I mean, we're probably the volleyball capital of the world, or we will be, unless the volleyball's being played on sand. And then if the volleyball playing on sand, we're going to have to figure that one out.
They do that. We do have some places around here
Right.
that do that. Probably the
Great
weather's
scene.
a little bit different.
Yeah. The places I know about that got the sand.
Yeah, but
they got
it's
a
more
little bit.
seasonal.
They got
It's
some.
seasonal.
They got some beverages flowing along
Right.
with the sand. It might
Whatever it
impact-
takes.
Linda
might
can work
impact
out the sand.
competitive
Work out
edge
the sand,
that
yeah.
anybody might have. The ones I know about, at least the ones I
That's
have
right.
seen. But we got it. We got it all.
We do. So
We
yes,
got it all.
the future's bright.
We got it all.
Yep.
What I'm gonna give you two words, Mr. Ross, and it's what it led me, because
Uh-oh.
I can't take this show because I gotta let you all be the stars of the show. We got two new words when it comes to our slogan.
Yes, Columbus.
Yes, Columbus. You heard it. We got volleyball. You heard Ms. Logan. We can bring sand too. Whatever you need. Yes, Columbus. We got it. So I had to
Sports.
know.
Sports championships. Yes, Columbus.
Look it up. Yes, Columbus. We got your answer. So look it up.
ExperienceColumbus.com. You'll be able to see the video.
Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Yes, Columbus. And there happens to be a quarterback that I support that as an investor in the Pro Volleyball League, which gives it probably some viability.
Yes, Joe Burrow and his family have great ties to Ohio, from the Athens area. And also, of course, we all know Joe. Cool Joe plays right down
Cool
the street
Joe.
for the Bengals. And what a great human, what a great family. And they are investors in the Columbus Fury, and you'll see them courtside. Joe's been here for a few of the matches, and certainly I know his parents are here each and every time. And it's been fun just to see the excitement of their family and just athletes in general. They appreciate really good talent on the court or on the field.
Yeah. Who Dey Nation is dependent upon Joe's arm and his legs and his swag for the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, you can tell I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, by the way.
I think you're outnumbered.
I-
We're Browns fans.
That's right.
I know.
Hope springs eternal,
Yeah,
Brian.
But
Yeah.
I had to speak up wherever I'm at. Now, who they?
There you go.
And moving on, by the way, Joe Burrow's Athens High School native. Linda is a fellow Bobcat and a former participant in the sports administration program. How have you observed the sports program at The Ohio University evolve since your time there?
So Ohio University, believe it or not, was the very first university in the country to have a sports administration program. So early in the early days, it was the first of its kind, and I was very fortunate to come aboard, not at the very beginning, but certainly in the early days, especially for girls and women in sports, just to have this opportunity to learn a new opportunity. I think probably didn't know it even existed until I went to college there, but there's so many graduates all around the world that hail from OU and have really made a mark in that genre. But there's so many other programs now, even here locally, where people can learn a little bit about the business of sport, and it's so broad. We all can imagine that there's many, many jobs in the professional field, but even the work that we do at the Sports Commission, we are always looking for talented individuals that can help not only sell the destination, but understand how important sports tourism is to a community and that community pride that we all have by living here. And so I really hearken back to my days at Ohio University, and I'm very proud to have come from that program. And you could pick up the phone and call just about any sports team, facility, sports organization in the country, and there's an OU grad. I jokingly call it the mafia at times, but it does help you when you're trying to benchmark, when you're trying to learn more about certain things that you don't know. You always know that you could pick up the phone, and that's probably one of the biggest strengths of that program, is that we're all connected in one form or fashion. And it's certainly for someone like me who grew up in a really small town and population 3,000, it opens so many doors for someone like me to have the career that I've been blessed to have.
Forever Ohio, that's
There
for
you
sure.
go.
They Bobcats stick together. Look out for each other. You're right.
That's right.
That professional network. That professional network is strong.
We got that green and white, and I know you have an affection for those
Oh
colors.
yes, I do. But we don't want to go there because the show might go another direction. So we don't want the show to go left. So we're gonna keep my allegiance aside there to the green and white. Linda, how does the Sports Commission ensure that sports programs are inclusive and accessible to all community members? Because that's an important part of Franklin County, the city of Columbus. We go through great efforts to ensure that everyone feels as though they truly belong to this community.
And I know that around the country, Franklin County is a model for diversity, equity, inclusion. And I think that not only do you all walk the talk, but there's some great examples of these partnerships. We recently hosted the U.S. Figure Skating Championships for the very first time. And one of the elements we thought was very important was to look at a sport that maybe historically has not had as much diversity as it could and work very closely with their team and promote the event to all parts of Franklin County and Columbus. We were able to do Breaking the Ice, I believe was what we called it, and brought in a panel of experts from around the country at the Lincoln Theater to talk a little bit about figure skating, but a lot about what's happening in the world. And we had students from Howard University, the Harlem Figure Skating Club, and others just to talk about the sport and what opportunities are out there and what barriers exist, because it is a sport that is a little harder on the pocketbook than some. So how can kids feel like they have an opportunity to learn something new? We're going to do something similar coming up next month when we're hosting the USA Fencing Championships. We're going to have some of the best fencers in the country right here in Columbus. You know, almost 4,000 fencers, I believe, will be here of all ages. But we also think it's important to tell the story of this sport that is international. But then how can you get involved and learn about an epee or a saber sword? And we're fortunate to have Don Anthony, who grew up in the United States, who is the fencing coach at Ohio State, and an African-American person of color that does so much for the sport. He's been on the International Olympic Committee for fencing. He's well thought of, and he's such a great role model that he's right here in our own backyard. So we want him to not only tell his story, but to inspire others to pick up this sport in the future. So again, thanks to the work that happens at Franklin County. We're bidding on the Gay Softball World Series again, just talking about another part of diversity in our community. And they love coming here. We've hosted that championship here 3 times now, and it's one of their favorite stops around the country. But again, because they feel very welcome here, they feel that there's opportunity here. And I really commend the county commissioners and yourself for having that vision for our community.
Yes. Mr. Ross, you've spent more than a decade in your current position. What significant transformations have you witnessed during your tenure here?
There's a long list, but I will start with one thing that I personally believe was the catalyst in this transformation. And as we talk about, we don't like losing. Well, there was one event that we went after that we didn't get that I truly believe was the catalyst to a lot of development that we've seen, and that's when Mayor Coleman rallied the community to go after the DNC and the RNC.
I remember.
And I remember being in rooms. I'd just become the president and CEO, and I remember being in rooms and people going, there's no way we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to talk about swagger that we always heard from Mayor Coleman. As people started to dig in to what we can do and our capabilities, then the momentum became, we can do this. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to do this. So through that, I think we raised the profile of our community quite a bit, and we also were able to showcase the importance of these type of events. So with that, you had 2 Hiltons that were built. You had an expansion of the convention center. You had other hotels that have been built. You've had the National Veterans Memorial Museum. A lot of different development that has come through that because of that vision and knowing that if we have the capability and infrastructure, more direct flights have been here. A lot of ASAE, the American Society of Association Executives, Women's Final Four, PCMA, all of these events would not have even been able to entertain us without that.
Right.
And thankfully, the county commissioners were right alongside with that. And then as Mayor Ginther took over and the county commissioners were again very supportive, we've done nothing but keep the ball rolling. And it's really set us apart. So it's exciting. I mean, Franklinton, look how it's developed over there. I think downtown's making a transformational change in the dynamics between office space and living space and having high energy and more things to do downtown. So I think there's been a lot, but I would say those are probably some of the key
When you
aspects.
took the job, you probably couldn't have envisioned the land west of Cosi being what it is today. And it's growing. It's just getting started.
Yes. And by the way, I wasn't the only one that couldn't envision it, but you're right. Thankfully, we had people with that vision. And I know that the county commissioners were right at the front of that. And it has helped transform that part of the community.
You know, we have a lot of shiny things to be proud of here in Franklin County in the city of Columbus, but we're not done yet. Complacency is a horrible thing. You got to stay focused on continuing to level up, continuing to do more, continuing to set your sights on who's ahead of you. It's a lot like running a race. You got to always set your sights on who's ahead of you. And like you say, it's just like in sports, when you got the right leaders with the right attitude, even in defeat, you know it's going to be a comeback and you're going to get it the next time when you got the right leaders.
Absolutely.
That are willing to come back and go for it again. I sort of touched on where Experience Columbus is evolving to, and we talk about and we promoted Live Forward. And the colors are positive. Everything about Live Forward has been positive, and it's changed with every season. Now we're talking about, are we building a bridge from Live Forward to Yes Columbus, or are they going to be yin and yang? Are they going to?
Yeah, great question, and it's an evolution of our brand campaign. The Live Forward campaign was actually rolled out during COVID, and it was the right thing for that point in time because we were really inward facing. We weren't talking to people outside of Columbus or Ohio because people weren't coming here. So we wanted to make sure that the residents here knew what assets we had, what experiences and cultural givings that we had here. So we focused that on the Live Forward. Now we've come through, and through a lot of research, through perception study, through working with Luke Wire, our new integrated marketing partner, and also working very closely with Franklin County, City of Columbus, One Columbus in economic development, and then also the downtown, Columbus Downtown Inc.
Downtown.
Yes, I have to make sure I get that right. Columbus Downtown Inc. Because what we're looking at with the Yes Columbus, it's not just about visitors. We believe everything starts with a visit, but it's about bringing more financing, more investment into the community. It's about residents. It's about workforce. It's about raising the profile and adding more quality of life. So I think the thing that's most exciting about Yes Columbus, as you will see, is it takes our culture, our people, and our assets, and it showcases that we are on par, if not better, than a lot of major cities in the U.S. And people don't know that. So we have to really be a lot more bold in how we're telling that story, and the fact that we have, again, as much, if not more, of some of these things than many other cities.
I mean, in population alone, Columbus is the 14th largest city in the country. So if you just rate us on that, you should be 14th.
Right.
But we have so many additional assets that set us apart from cities that are above us, is why we talk about Target 5 and why we talk about wanting to be in the top tier of all cities within our competitive set. And that's why we compete, because we know we are over and above where we set today in population. Because we have some strong suburban communities as well, yep, that are the envy of other places around the country. When you look at all of the statistics that matter, yep, you know, level of education, per capita income, broadband accessibility, walkability, recreation. We have all of that. I won't get into that because on this podcast, we don't have enough time for all of that, to talk about all of these assets that make us better than even a top 10 city. And I'm on that note, we need people to promote the city.
Correct.
We need everyone's brother, sister, grandparents, everybody that lives here, everywhere they go. So touch a little bit upon the Experience Columbus Insider Program and how people can get involved.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, we're always competing, and whether it's sports, whether it's with conventions, leisure visitors, it's a very competitive industry. We're trying to have people come to Columbus for these events as opposed to going to Charlotte, Indy, Cleveland, Nashville, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So it's very competitive, and you're absolutely right that one of the things I'll say that sets us apart is how we collaborate as a community and how our county and city works hand in glove to accomplish many different things that set us apart nationally, both of our organizations. So when you look at the Insiders Club, if you look at the visitors that come to Columbus, almost half are here visiting friends and relatives. So when you start talking about how do we get the word out about Columbus and get, yes, Columbus, a lot of it starts with our residents. And so we're going to work hard, and we hope that everybody's working hard to understand what Columbus has to offer and make sure that we're communicating that with our friends and our family. The Insider Club is a great opportunity for people to volunteer and show pride in the community, in the county, in the city. When we have large sporting events or festivals, I mean, you want to look and talk about being diverse. You had the Black Expo just happened a couple weeks ago, the Asian Festival, we have Latino Fest. I mean, there's so many different things that our community, we have Pride obviously coming up with the big Pride Parade, but these are all things that we do well as a community because it's part of our culture, it's part of our people. And we're so fortunate that our elected officials, starting with the county and the mayor and city council, lean into this as well. But when you become a Columbus Insider, you actually are an insider. You get to volunteer and be in locations and experience things that most of the public can't, because a lot of these events are private events. But you also learn a lot about your community.
And it's so important for the insiders. They're the front line, if you will, to orchestrate the experience that we want all of our groups to have when they come here, or even our singular residents to be able to realize how friendly that Midwestern hospitality, it goes such a long way. But it's just to educate, whether it's our hoteliers, our restaurateurs, people that work in our shops, our Uber and taxi drivers, all of those things make the Columbus that we know and love for our residents. But just think about how important it is for that very first impression for someone that's coming here for the very first time.
So people listening, live to be the Columbus expert in your friends and families group. It'll make you be the popular person at the barbecue, at the bar, wherever you may, at church, all the places you may be. So live to be the Columbus expert in your friends and family group by looking into joining the Columbus Insider Club.
So experiencecolumbus.com, and you can sign up there. So.
So, Brian, you've hosted some very notable conventions over the years. How do you think these events will impact future visitors and convention bookings?
Well, we've been fortunate that as a community, we have worked together. I know Linda can talk about the Women's Final Four and many others that she's worked on to bring here, but I'll sort of focus on NACO, National Association of County Officials. I'll focus on the American Society of Association Executives, PCMA, U.S. Conference of Mayors, but particularly when you look at NACO, ASAE, and PCMA. For ASA and PCMA, we've already actualized. So that means we've booked groups that were here seeing our community that said, we want to bring our meeting here. We already have $140 million in economic impact booked into the future for those groups, with many more groups looking at us. So I think it not only raises our profile as a meetings, conventions, and sporting events destination, but it also raises the profile of our community and how we collaborate to get these things done, because we are the 14th largest city in America, but at the same time, when we work together, we come together like we're a small community, and we sort of put everybody's individual interest aside and say, what's best for the county, for the city? How do we get there? So that is something that, quite honestly, both of us can talk about, that our competitors are very jealous that our county commissioners come with us to see customers and talk about our community. Our mayor comes with us, city council members, the private sector, the Columbus Partnership comes. So that does not happen in any other community. So that's truly, again, something that sets us apart.
Okay, leading to this, I'm going to ask both of you all this question because I think it's fitting. Looking at your respective organizations, what do you see as your superpower when it comes to setting Columbus apart from other communities for major convention and tourism destination? So when you get in the war room, what are you telling your respective marketing teams that this is our superpower and we better use it?
I think Brian mentioned the fact that we do have such collaboration, and it's very few people that could talk about their mayor or their county commissioners or their city council coming to the trade show floor or coming on a bid for a big event. And that's the things that we have in our community. We have such buy-in and such passion for the work that we do, and people are so proud to want to host these big events. So I would start with that. I think also when you think about our footprint, the fact that our convention center, our arenas and stadiums are so close to the infrastructure of the hotels, the restaurants. In some communities that's not the case, but you could come from the airport, Uber to your hotel or taxi, or drive your car and park and really not use that again until you're ready to go home. So that's one. We're in the center of the U.S. as well, so we are a great drive destination too. So people can get here. It's very affordable. There's so many things to do. So again, there's something for everyone. And although I don't know if you'd call it our superpower, I think we've been known to under-promise but over-deliver. And when we over-deliver, we do it in a big way. That's very memorable. It's all about that, in our case, the athlete experience, or those fans, or those convention goers that come here and they really do want to come back because they've had such a tremendous visit.
I would agree with all of that that Linda just shared, Ken, and I would also say that our teams, we are very fortunate. I would put our Greater Columbus Sports Commission team up against any other sports commission team, and the same with Experience Columbus. And I know we're both very mission-driven organizations, but I think the other thing that we do and try to do every day is the community is our client. What we do it's not about Experience Columbus and the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. It's about Franklin County. It's about Columbus. What are we doing to highlight everything that's going on here? And when you put that in the big bucket and start stirring around with the things that Linda talked about, that is the secret sauce. Those are the things that separate us. And when we're looking at our community as what the needs are, it's easier for people to see how authentic we are when we're doing these things, and then have residents embrace them, have volunteers embrace that.
Yeah, many communities, got to really be concerned about the potential of Columbus and the potential of Franklin County. Because one thing that you can do here is eat, drink, and play well.
Yeah.
We got those three areas covered. We got a dynamic culinary scene that when people find out about it, they rave. And we got mixologists and all of that. And we got drinks that are unique to this area. We got breweries, we got distilleries, we got all of that. We got coffees.
Yep.
We got a lot of independent coffee. So we got pizza. And everybody loves pizza. We got all of that. I mean, where do I stop? But we only got an hour here, so we're going to run overtime. So I was afraid of that.
Well, I think you just shared one of the pieces of the secret sauce as well. We have something for everyone. No matter what your interests are, there's something in Columbus for you.
And some cool trails. You talked about a few of them.
So can you share any success stories or notable impacts your organization had on the community? We've touched on some of them, but let's just add a few more. This question is for the both of you.
We talked a little bit about the Women's Final Four. It was one of those events that it took us 10 years to actually get the event here. We started bidding on it in 2008. It finally got here in 2018, just as the city was adding new hotel inventory, renovation of the convention center, all the things that you plan for a decade. And then we had tremendous cooperation and just the way that the community came out for the special events, the read to the Final Four, or the bounce, where kids from all over the community got to pick up a basketball and bounce their way to the convention center for Town and some of the special events. But some of the things that continue to be the legacy, not only did we have 3 amazing games that some say was the best Final Four ever, men and women, things you couldn't count on, but now take credit for those great games. But there's been some legacies from the Women's Final Four. We planted dozens or really hundreds of trees through the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. We created some programming for girls and women in leadership, the Committed series that still has some elements that are still happening here in Columbus. Just the number of kids that were exposed to basketball for the very first time that picked up that basketball and now play at all levels. We actually had a young woman that was here with her mom during our Final Four in 2018, and last year she was part of the Final Four. She played at Louisville and was part of the championship game as well. So we see that happening each and every time now, where kids are inspired, adults are inspired, and those are the things that make me really proud, because not only did we have great games here, but it touched the community in so many ways. It has that legacy.
What do you see as the long-term vision for Columbus? What's the long-term vision? What should be our North Star?
Well, go ahead.
I think when it comes to sports in Columbus, you touched on the fact that we were or are one of the first cities in the country to really shine the light on girls and women in sports, and it's coming of age now. The viewership is up, tickets are being purchased at a high level. More girls and women are playing basketball. They're getting the sponsor dollars. So I see that the future is really bright for girls and women in sports, especially in Columbus, being one of the best cities in America for women in sports. So what could that look like as we look into our crystal ball and look ahead to the future? The fact that the city is growing so much, I just look forward to what's next. I think we're just getting started.
Okay.
I would say, again, fastest growing community in the U.S. And I think when you look at the county and the city, some key things that we have to really, from a visioning standpoint, is how all of our different sectors work together. And when we look at the visitor industry, we want to be a destination of choice, meaning that people are choosing to come here instead of going to other destinations, no matter the cost, no matter the wait. that we've really earned the right that they're going to go out of their way because they want to come to Franklin County and Columbus. Other communities have that right now. We're moving in that direction. And I think by doing that, it goes back to, the opportunity city. Columbus is the opportunity city, as the mayor says. Every residence, every day. As we grow, we have to be thoughtful in how we're growing. I would say transportation. We definitely have to have a transportation option as we move forward so that when we have all these great assets, this culinary, the cultural offerings, and we're growing, how do we get around to experience those and not create barriers, because that would hinder the quality of life, which is what is that, the county's working on every day. So how are we smart about all these things and working together, providing jobs? I truly believe that Columbus could become, in Franklin County, could become one of the cities in the U.S. that is a driving force in economic development and overall prosperity.
Because we want it to be not just the haves and the have-nots.
Correct.
How do we bridge that gap and make sure that we are putting our best foot forward and everyone's feeling like they have the opportunities?
Yes, we talk
equitable growth.
We talk equity every single day. Equity is what we must strive for, particularly when you consider our growth and our continued growth. And we're going to need to provide more opportunities as we grow. So as we wrap up, given sports has played a major role in my life, and I have taken sports experiences and I use them to this day. When I think about as many athletes that I watched growing up from a young age, Muhammad Ali was just an influence, just a presence upon me individually. And then if I go to, law, I think about a Thurgood Marshall was like, wow, who, being that person, walking in those shoes. Each one of you, give me two people, someone in sports and someone outside of sports that you would see as influential figures in how you thought and molded your way of thinking and what you were striving for. We all have those parental influences. We all have a mentor, but I'm talking about someone you saw from a distance, someone you saw that wasn't in your zip code.
I had the opportunity to watch Billie Jean King as she not only was one of the trailblazers for women in sport, but also for civil rights and the things that she believed in. And she still is so active, but she was definitely a pioneer and had to go through a lot in her life. So I've always admired and looked at her from afar as someone that just did the right thing. It wasn't always easy, but she was not afraid to take it on either at the personal cost of herself and her privacy probably. So she's someone that I still look up to. And as we just commemorated the 50th anniversary of Title IX just last year, she, I think, is getting the credit now that she definitely deserves.
Yes.
So that's who comes to mind with that question.
That is just right on point, because being in the United States and thinking about having, when you mention Billie Jean King, on the other side, I think about Arthur Ashe and what all he had to go through in the game of tennis, and his impact, and it's just that we are truly, even you don't know them, you can't touch them, but they're there, and that presence, that's what makes giving back and legacy so important. Arthur Ashe, and I want to learn more about him because I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and he was too, and I want to learn more about him. But come on, what's the next?
All right, go to Brian, and I'll have to come back. Yeah.
Well, I'm a sports guy, and played my sport growing up. I've played them all, but definitely favored football more than anything. So growing up a Browns fan, there were two Browns. I was an offensive guy. Two Browns that I just loved what they did and how they represented themselves was Jim Brown and Paul Warfield. I mean, just the two of the greatest at their positions. And when you talk about particularly like Jim Brown, I mean, he was just way ahead of his time in all kinds of things. You can talk from a society standpoint, but also from a athletic standpoint. I don't think there was a sport that he wasn't the best in, except maybe boxing. So from sports, that's really what I would say. Outside of sports, I'm ashamed to say I don't know as though I have just one person. I've sort of looked to leaders that were visionaries, people that were looking at how you can make things better, how you can look at the future and be able to showcase what that vision looks like and get people to be a part of what that is. And I think we're doing a lot of that here in Columbus. But whether it was Jack Welch, who was a very good CEO, but there are a lot of other individuals that I could name. But I don't have truly just one. I mean, outside of father, mother.
I don't think any of us have just one. I just wanted you to, for the podcast listeners, to just share some nuggets around one.
All right, I came back with my other. So it's I read a book called Sisters-in-Law, and it was about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sandra Day O'Connor were the first women to join the Supreme Court. And they both had very different routes there, but just to read about what they did to get there was a very great book for people to read. So I would say that moved me. And then I love to cook, and so Julia Child, who is a parody at times, but also such a strong woman that really was ahead of her time when it came to, national public radio and television, and the fact that she was the first to. Now cooking shows are so common for all of us, but she was someone that worked for the federal government, was a diplomat, and loved to cook. And when she and her husband were stationed in France, she picked up the spatula and started to learn everything about. If you've ever heard about her book, My Life in France, it's a tremendous book as well, just talking about how she became the Julia Child that we know and have heard about. So I just think about both, I guess, the judges and this great chef that became iconic, I suppose, for many reasons that have influenced me along the way.
Yes. Thank you guys for sharing that. There are 3 websites that if you live in Franklin County or you live anywhere in Central Ohio, you should have them bookmarked and check them from time to time. And it's the Greater Columbus Sports Commission website, it's the Experience Columbus website, and it's the CBUS Soul website. Those 3 websites are websites that you should definitely bookmark, and you can find out what's going on. Experience Columbus website, all of the cultural festivals across the board, you can find out what's going on at any time. All of our hotels, restaurants, everything. And you can sign up, you can get quarterly information. And you can find out what's all things sports, what we're seeking, what's coming, what's on the way. The Greater Columbus Sports Commission is for that. And CBUS Soul is a relatively new initiative, and it is amplifying what's going on in Black Columbus. And it's called CBUS Soul. So check that out.
CBUS Soul Fest this August will be the third annual.
Will be the third annual CBUS Soul Festival. And if you want to buy some Columbus swag or Columbus-based merch, as I'm told, it's called merch.
Yep.
Where do you go? I mean, we're right here live on location on Nationwide Boulevard.
Yes, you can come to this visitor center, which is on Nationwide Boulevard, directly adjacent to Huntington Park, or out at Easton. We also have a visitor center out at Easton in the main part of the mall, all swag Columbus. So please show up and show off.
Thanks, Ken.
It's been an honor.
Yes,
Thank
such
you
an
all.
honor.
This
Thank
has
you.
been a great conversation talking with you all. We are wrapping up this episode of Talk of the County, and I will leave with these words that I usually do. Do you? No one else has time to. Thank you.